and welcome to Iman One Radio, which is in Wolverhampton. And yeah, today we're going to be going through Quran, and I'm going to be doing the tafsir of the Quran and just reading through the Quran. And yeah, we're going to be doing Surah Al-Hijr, which is the Rocky Tract. And let's start right now. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif Lam Ra Tilka Ayatul Kitabi wa Qur'anin Mubin. So this ayah here is the first verse of Surah Al-Hijr, and Hijr is translated as the Rocky Tract. And a very important thing I want to emphasize here is the first Alif Lam Ra. Alif Lam Ra is something in Arabic called Haruf al-Maqatta'at, or the broken letters. And depending on different research, they have different meaning. And generally, you will see it in, let's say, Surah Al-Baqarah as well has Haruf al-Maqatta'at, and these generally have different meanings. And I would say this one's outside of my competence, so I won't really go into what it means. And it says Tilka Ayat. So in Arabic, when you say Tilka, it's referring to these are the verses of the book. And it says the clear Quran. So essentially, what it's saying is that the Quran has a lot of ayahs meaning verses, and it's clear with the meaning is how I would commentate for this one. رُبَّمَا يُوَدُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْ كَانُوا مُسْلِمِينَ. So here it's saying that the individuals that disbelieved or that did not believe in sort of the message, or I guess the message of Islam, or it doesn't even have to be that. It could be the belief in one God, so the theological belief in one designer or one creator. So those that did not believe may have wished they believed. And essentially, I think the biggest thing to talk about here is a lot of times people take Quranic verses out of context. And the reason why is because it's hard to translate one language to another language. To translate a language like Arabic, which has diacritical marks. So if you look at the Quran, above each letter, there's like a something called a fatha, kasra, and dhamma. These are called diacritical marks in Arabic linguistics and grammar, and you cannot translate that to English. This is where a lot of I would say, a lot of kind of myths about the Quran come across, because Arabic is a very empathetic language. When you try and translate Arabic to English, you lose the empathy oftentimes. For instance, if you were to read the English translation of Ayah 2, you might start to ponder and think, okay, this sounds a bit harsh, but in Arabic it has a lot of empathy. So it says رُبَّمَا يُوَدُّ. This sort of two words is kind of saying, if only, is how I translate it. It's not harsh, it's very it's very softly said, but in the English it kind of loses that empathy, which is why I always say that it's very important, obviously, to kind of try to or attempt to learn Arabic, because it will help you to understand the Quran more accurately and more fully. So ayah 3 of Surah Al-Hijr is دَرْهُمْ يَأْكُلُوا وَيَتَمَتَّعُوا وَيُلْهِهِمُ الْأَمَلُ فَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ. So دَرْهُمْ يَأْكُلُوا is allow them to eat, and this could be referring to essentially anything in life. You know, a lot of people I speak to, they're like, okay, Mohammed, so why is it that I'm trying to become more religious? Why is it that people around me that are straying away, they have more success? So generally, I think ayah 3 would respond to that. It's kind of saying, darhum yakulu, allow them to eat, allow them to, I guess, enjoy the pleasures of life. وَيَتَمَتَّعُ, istimta in Arabic is a noun, and it means enjoy. Istimta means pleasure or enjoy. وَيَلْهِهِمُ الْأَمَلُ, so allow the hope to distract them. فَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ is they will soon know. That essentially, in English, it sounds a bit threatening, I'll be honest with you guys, but when you read in Arabic, it sounds empathetic. It says, فَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ, and in Sawfa, it has a fa, the letter fa in Arabic, which فَسَوْفَ, it signifies the future. So فَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ, as in the future they will, referring to Judgment Day. But I think the issue what I see with how a lot of times the translations are is the empathy is lost. And if you read the translation here, it says, so let them eat and enjoy themselves and be diverted by false hope, for they will soon know. For me, it sounds a bit threatening, but it's not actually, because if you read the Arabic, فَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ, it's very empathetic, and I can't really describe it better than that. it's kind of like a lot of times in the Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to us, he refers to us as Ya ayyuhal nas, so O dear people. So when the speech is directed towards us, it says Ya ayyuhal abad. So O dear like creation, we aren't referred to like as straight away, and I think that's important. And to kind of connect it to Surah Al-Baqarah, so ayah 2, Surah 2, ayah 30. I'm just going to pull it up just so I don't read it wrong. Ayah 30 would be, yep, so it says, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً قَالُوا أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Just to paraphrase it, basically this ayah 30 is very important because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before he created us, he told the angels that I'm going to create a human being or a group of humans that will be authorities upon earth. By authority, they don't mean anything kind of strange. They mean just people to survive, essentially, people to be alive. Then the angels asked, so why would you create a human creation that may spread corruption on earth and shed blood? That's what it literally says as a translation. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds with, I know what you do not know. And for me, this is very deep because that suggests, if you look at a tafsir and it says this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala views us as humans as higher than angels. Now why? It's because we have free will. The malaika, the angels, don't. They were created to prostrate, and that's essentially, as far as my understanding is, I could be wrong here, they are only able to do that. But as humans, why we are always referred to as above as a creation, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's like best creation, is because we have the free will. You have the choice whether you do something bad or good, and it's up to you as an individual what you really do in your life. And that's very important to talk about, because a lot of people, when they discuss like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or God, they refer to him as if like he's unjust. But if you look at the ayah here, I think this is enough evidence to suggest that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like merciful. The fact that we're referred to as from ayah 30 in Surah Al-Baqarah, you can see that we're one of the most important creation, as we have free will. You can do what you want. You don't have to. And that's also why La ikraha fil din is an important pillar of the religion, where there's no compulsion in religion. Contrary to what people kind of commentate towards the religion, you're not forced to. There's no compulsion. Essentially, is the point I'm trying to say. So I was on ayah 3 of Surah Al-Hijr. Yep. So وَمَا أَهْلَكْنَا مِنْ قَرْيَةٍ إِلَّا وَلَهَا كِتَابٌ مَعْلُومٌ. So this is referring to so qawm in Arabic means kind of group of people. So there hasn't been a group of people that kind of were destroyed in a way. By destroyed, this means I guess because they weren't following the message at the time, no matter what the religion was. For example, in Prophet Jesus' time, peace be upon him, a lot of people kind of disobeyed him, or even the many let's say prophets that came for Judaism or that came for Islam. A lot of people kind of disobeyed, and for that reason, it's just saying that there's, with every group of people, with every community, there has been a kind of a book or a message, and that's what it says. Kitabun ma'loom means a known book. Kitab just means book, and you have that in Urdu as well. I think kitab is in Urdu as well. ما تسبق من أمة أجلها وما يستأخرون. So it's basically saying that no person can advance. So no person can change. How do I say this? How do I translate this right? They put no people can advance their doom, nor can they delay it. I don't really like that translation, to be fair, but I would just say I would paraphrase it as no person can delay when they pass away, or how long they survive for. That is destined. Obviously, you can be a billionaire, but you can't change how long you're gonna live for. Really, whatever's been written is gonna happen, depending on really your views. وَقَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِي نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِ الذِّكْرُ innaka la majnoon. So they used to say to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, or any of the messengers or any of the prophets, that you were the message was sent upon, you are insane. And if you actually, I think I need to kind of delve deep into ayah 6. So a lot of times in society or any time, a lot of times people ask this question: why is it that I'm a good person and I don't become successful? Or why is it I'm a good person, I care for others, I feel like I'm not reaching the goals I want? So essentially, just to commentate on that point, a lot of times in society, if you try to be a good person, you kind of will be shunned in a way, or even people might call you names and stuff. And that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess, historically as well. And I think that's ayah 6. I know the tafsir isn't that, but that's just my commentary on it. So it says, وَقَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا. So they said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِي نُزِّلَ. So, O dear person where the message was sent upon, إِنَّكَ لَمَجْنُونَ means, oh, you must be insane. So they were essentially trying to gaslight the messenger, and that happens a lot. A lot of times in discussions and debates, when people cannot handle an intellectual debate, they will essentially attack your character. And even it happens a lot in journalism as well. It's like people will attack the individual, whether it's through the character, how they look, even though the irony is every human is fallible. So even if someone may have a good idea, but attacking their character in a debate is kind of nonsensical in a way. But anyway, ayah 7, لو ما تأتينا بالملائكة إن كنت من الصادقين. So they were asking the Prophet, Muhammad peace be upon him, if you're truly truthful in your message and you believe in it, why do you not bring us the angels down? And obviously it connects with the ayah afterwards, which is also another point to add. The Quran is chronological. So usually when there's an ayah, the ayah afterwards usually will connect. For instance, ayah 8 talks about the response to ayah 7. It says, we don't send the angels unless it's a destined cause or a just cause. And until that time, it would be too late, essentially, because the whole point of belief is essentially to say this: you cannot empirically see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an entity, because there isn't a jism, like he is not in human form, if that makes sense. As Muslims, we don't believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in human form. So essentially, the whole point of belief is you believe in the unseen empirically, is what I'm saying. Of course, you can prove Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mathematically and maybe from a philosophy angle, but just empirically you can't see a entity, if that makes sense. So ayah 8 says, ما ننزل الملائكة إلا بالحق وما كانوا إذا منذرين. So it's basically what I just said: we do not send the angels down except for a just cause, and it will be too late then, essentially. It's kind of like, so what would you be logically rewarded for more? Would you be rewarded for struggling more and not really... Essentially what I'm trying to say is, if you had a physical evidence that you could theoretically see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then everyone would believe in that sense. I feel like it's more beautiful in a way where the beauty of belief is you believe based on logic and intellect, and it just makes sense. It makes sense to believe in one God, because life is very ordered, and based on my life experience, I think it makes a lot of sense. I've been through a lot of life experiences for me that it only makes sense that there is a designer, a creator of the world, and life is just orderly. How is it that there could be people on this radio show listening to me in like a different continent or a different country? It's quite miraculous in itself. So ayah 9 of Surah Al-Hijr is إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. So this is saying that indeed we are the ones, this is referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so God. So indeed God is the entity that has sent the reminder being the Quran or any of the holy books. As Muslims, we respect all Abrahamic religions. So that's another point. So all of the holy texts they could be referring to in this ayah, I'm not too sure. And indeed, we are the ones that preserve it as well. So I think the beauty of Islam is that the Quran is preserved beautifully and it's immutable. So by immutable, that means it can't be changed. And why? Because you'll go to any country and you'll find people that have memorized the Quran. And I think that in itself is miraculous because, as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any book like that worldwide, globally, or any time in history. So I think we could objectively say here that the Quran is the most memorized book ever to exist on earth and ever will be, to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I can wholeheartedly say that. It makes a lot of sense. Ayah 10 is وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ فِي شِيَعِ الْأَوَّلِينَ. So it's basically saying that we've sent messages before you among the early people. I think this would reference other prophets and messengers. There are many. وَمَا يَأْتِيهِمْ مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. So it's saying that وَمَا يَأْتِيهِمْ is always messengers would approach them, but unfortunately they would always mock the messengers or prophets, unfortunately. Now, Ayah 11 is important to talk about because always in society, when there is a new thing, even if it's beneficial for people, people tend to shy away for it because it's a new sort of new experience. And human nature is designed in a way where we enjoy comfort, and that's why you have the whole phrase of comfort foods. And I think obviously you can link it to the hadith where it says Islam started strange and ends strange. Now I'm not sure what the interpretation of that is, but essentially I would commentate on that. It started it started in a time where in the pagan era where people were doing a lot of strange things. So it came to abolish a lot of the ideas then, and even Islam is present in it. So the fact that it's present now means it's timeless as well, and I think that's the beauty of it. No matter what year you go, and no matter when you read the Quran, it's beautifully timeless. And I would definitely wish that more people would actually know Arabic as well, because when you read the Quran with the understanding of the Arabic language, it's very deep, and definitely you'll shed a tear reading it. It has a lot of empathy. And even me, when I'm briefly skimming through the English translation, I would say I believe the English translation does not do the Quran its full justice, if I'm being honest here. And it's just because the way Arabic is linguistically it's very, very different. Arabic linguistically, as I mentioned earlier, has something called diacritical marks. So if you, the viewers, were to Google diacritical mark, what it is signs above different huruf. Huruf in Arabic means letters. Haruf is singular for huruf. Huruf is plurality for letters. So it could be, kalam means conversation. Kelma means word, one word, singular. So ayah 12 is كَذَلِكَ نَسْلُكُهُ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. So this is referring to a lot of the themes in the Quran talk about the fact that people can see, but their hearts are blind. And I think this is a part that's very, very important to kind of highlight to the viewer, you guys. Why? Because a lot of times you might deal with family members or friends where a lot of times you're like, oh wait, I've been nice to them. Why are they mistreating me? Now, I think the short response to give you guys solace, if you've experienced that, is even though you're looking at someone and you feel like they're alive and they can see, a lot of times they have a diseased soul. What I mean by that is, it sounds a bit rude, but what I'm trying to say here is, in Arabic we say marad ruhi. So what it means is, from a philosophy angle, Islamically speaking, the more sins someone commits, the more their ruh, so their good and bad self, the more kind of their good self is disconnected from their ruh, as far as I'm aware. And this is very important. So, and that's why I think having a good support around you is important to actually, I believe, to become a good individual as well. And it's not even just about Muslims or Islam, just generally as a person, because as humans, it's what we do on a daily basis that shapes us, If someone is surrounded by individuals that, let's say they're Muslims and they don't pray, unfortunately, then you're more likely to slack. So generally, on my TikTok channel, I actually cover this because I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of, maybe including myself and a lot of people my generation, I was born in 1996, so I'm 29 years old. A lot of our generation struggle with prayer, and it's something that needs to be spoken about. Not in a judgmental, hypocritical way, in a way with how does one improve or how does one kind of um, increase the likelihood that they'll pray essentially. And I think the important thing is going to a mosque, number one, having friends around you that pray and that don't neglect salah. And I also mention another thing. I realized with my own life experience that when I listen to music, for some reason I end up neglecting prayer the same day. That's just my own experience. I do think there's a lot of depth with that. That's why I also believe that that's why in Islam music is haram, because music evokes a sort of emotional reaction inside of you that you wouldn't feel if you never listened to it. Now, to reference, let's say an artist like The Weeknd, if I'm allowed to. So, his music, when unfortunately I would listen to it, it just makes me feel like there's something evil in the music. I can't explain it. There's probably some spiritual aspect to it. But anyway, definitely, salah is something important, and I think what needs to be done is, especially with as I get older, as I'm nearly 30 years old, if I was to have children, how would I encourage them to pray? One way I would say is to allow them to understand empirically why prayer is important. Now, the reason why prayer is important is because in Arabic it says "Salat tamna an al-fahsha'i wal-munkar," which essentially means prayer prevents or stops someone from fahsha. Munkar is translated many ways. It could be translated as in English it sounds a bit weird, but perversion. But what that means is corruption. But translating from Arabic to English is quite difficult sometimes. So yeah, this is very important. And even on my TikTok, we always discuss these issues because I'm a person that speaks to I'm a community-driven person. I like speaking to people, and a lot of times with the youth, I feel like a lot of people come up to me like, Mo, because I go to the gym sometimes, like, how do I improve? I'm like, bro, I struggle with it myself, but I'm always trying to find a way to kind of, how would I advise someone younger than me? Is always in my question, always in my brain as a Muslim, because there isn't a point of me being a Muslim if I'm not going to understand what I struggle with and improve it, then try and provide a solution to the younger generation. Because a lot of times what we find is, a lot of times I feel like maybe the older generation or even my generation will criticize the younger generation, but we need to understand that who raised them is the first question, and we shouldn't view people in a critical way, because the most important thing in Islam is not to criticize others, is to, and when you give advice, you shouldn't be critical of an individual. I feel like a lot of times what affects people is our tongue, you know, the way we speak sometimes as Muslims to others, as in when giving nasiha, you know, when giving amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi an munkar, which is enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, is quite sharp, you know, and that I feel like does the opposite. Maybe the person's intention is good, but it leads to the opposite of what the intention is. And a lot of times people mean it in a good way, but you need to get the message across in a way that the recipient will understand. And essentially, the best analogy I can bring is it's like a telephone signal tower. You know, you have radio frequencies from your phone that go towards it. Okay, and yeah, we have a break, guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you got about 6 minutes rest.
Oh wow.
Sorry, I got a bit distracted.
No, that's fine. I actually enjoyed that. Yeah,
I should have said.
I can talk for like 10 hours. Trust me.
Yeah. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds I'll use. I won't use.
Was that even good? Because I feel like I'm.
No,
Just...
it was good.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it was good. Just take a little break. So we've got about 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'll definitely shout you guys out. I think this is a very amazing platform, and I feel like we can even do like discussions here. But yeah, I think the main thing that I wanted to. How many viewers do we have? If
So if I go on to radio.co,
it doesn't matter for me. I don't care about numbers. It's like
we've got 3 listeners.
okay.
It's good because even if they pick something up from you today, it's Sadaqah Jariyah.
Yeah, that's all I care about. I
But
don't mind about
if
listeners. Yeah,
the reason why I put it on Facebook, Instagram, everything,
that's
I
completely
want
fine.
people to tune in.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly.
So just put a post about you being here,
Yeah, no, I'm
and then
happy. I think
and
I'd come
so
every week. Like this is
and then people can go back and watch on YouTube and Facebook. They can
perfect.
revisit the channel
Yeah,
and they can see
perfect.
what you're all about, what you're talking about. But I always say to people, tell your family and friends that you're on,
So
so
they can
it
tune in as
creeps
well.
up your
Can I be
numbers.
honest with you? The
Yeah.
reason why I didn't do that is because my family's quite judgmental.
Are they?
So the
Oh,
topic I'm talking about on microphone is
yeah.
all the things I'm talking about on your radio show is stuff that is legit stuff. Like as in I relate with. So even like the Salah thing, um, I like to go to East London. I like to go to South Asian areas because I like community. And when I go to when I go there, I always meet brothers there, and we're always discussing like let's say stuff about marriage. I can talk about lengths about that because
Oh.
in our community, marriage has become impossible. That's a fact, by the way. I could talk even sociologically why that's the case, although I'd probably stay away from the sociological part because it gets quite deep there. But yeah, even I speak to a lot of South Asians and they're complaining of marriage too, and it's not even a nationality thing. It's more of it's a ummah issue, and I feel like it's a lot of times the older generation they don't want to get us married.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they have formed a codependent relationship with us. A lot of times, our own mums don't want us to leave.
Really?
This is going to go deep, but this is why a lot of sometimes wives complain about our generation, our community, saying that like the husband still like she feels like he's a child because he's so in Islam, you're supposed to respect your mum, but also you need to bear in mind that there needs to be a healthy boundary between the mum and the wife,
Yeah.
not where the wife feels like she's competing for. It's quite deep. I would love to talk about that in depth.
Oh.
It's a very important topic to cover.
Yeah. No, you're doing good. You seem quite relaxed,
No, I'm
calm.
chill. I don't know. I feel like I'm too traumatized by life.
No, I think it's the first time you're doing this as well. It can be a bit overwhelming.
I actually don't feel anxious. Like I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like I'm just too old now. As in, you're gonna be like, oh, you're young, but I don't know. I just feel like, as a
I've been doing radio for 20 years.
nice, okay. Do you think I should be on radio? Because people keep saying, I don't know if they're lying to me.
You've
They're like,
got the voice. You've got the voice. And you're very calm. You're very
Yeah.
collected.
I like engaging with people. It's like
Yeah.
I can talk about anything. Literally, I can talk about music. I can talk about culture. I can talk about South Asian food. You know, Nahari's amazing dish.
Yes.
Karak chai, doodh batti as well. That's my phrase on my social media. So I did a doodh batti review, and the people liked it. So
That's good.
I think doodh batti means like milk with tea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Milky tea.
I would love to visit South Asia, maybe do a podcast there as well. I feel like there's a lot of great stuff I can do.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually go to Iraq and actually make videos there to maybe increase tourism there. But I don't know, my dad was like, Mohammed, finish your exam.
No, you know what? Honestly, your dad's right. Get your exams out the way.
I don't like studying though.
I know.
I like this. I
Nobody
like
likes
this.
studying.
I like this sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I
But
could
you know
talk.
what? You could build on this after you've got your degree and stuff like that. Because I know there's loads of people out there who are doing loads of stuff on social media
Yeah.
and they're giving up their jobs
Yeah.
because they're generating.
I would never do that. Like even for me, I'm always a person where I like to think of an emergency. So like
Yeah.
even I don't think my social media will really get to heights unless I go to sort of the content I do right now is very non-controversial. It's hard to really get traction if you're a genuine person.
Right, you've got a minute left.
Yeah.
So when it comes to 30 seconds, I'm going to let you know, and then I'll do a thumbs up when you can go back on. All right.
Should I just stick to the Quran? I feel like it's getting a bit boring. Or I don't know. Uh, it's in Walthamstow, so check out. Not Walthamstow, Wolverhampton. Um, Hello, guys. Assalamu alaikum, guys. We're back. Thank you for tuning in if you're tuning in. And obviously, if you're tuning in, try and tell your friends and colleagues to tune in. This radio show will be bigger one day. Okay. So where were we? We were on ayah 11. We've done that. كذلك نسلكه. Okay. We're on ayah 13 of Surah Al-Hijr, and it says لا يؤمنون به وقد خلت سنة الأولين. So this is basically talking about the fact that they did not believe in the Quran despite many examples of people being ruined before them. And by ruined, this just merely means all of the people or groups of communities that had prophets come to them, they all mock the prophets, and you can link it with ayah 11 here, and that's very important. And yeah, I think a very important theme in Surah Al-Hijr, which is the rocky tract, is the fact that usually when it comes to new things in society, as I referenced before the break, people usually mock it. But when it works, usually people be like, oh, I knew it was good. I knew it would be a success. It's kind of like social media. When social media was first made, a lot of people are like, oh, what are these people that are filming stuff? And now everyone's on social media, ironically including myself. Okay, so وَلَوْ فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَابًا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ فَضَلُّوا فِيهِ يَعْرُجُونَ. So it's saying that even if we opened a gate to heaven, and they would continue to ascend. It's basically what it's saying is, even if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought upon the people a clear sign, they would still disobey. Now, why? You reference it back to the theme. It's not the eyes that are blind. Most people, they can see with their eyes, but the heart is blind. And what that means is, I guess you could interpret it as we're all stuck in a cycle of, obviously, I don't believe it's anyone's fault. We all have to work and stuff like that. And a lot of times it's hard to, even from my personal experience, when I've been working in a pharmacy, try to abide by prayer. It's difficult a lot of times, because you're working in a patient-centered sort of business, and you're working in a place where you're dealing with a lot of patients. And it's very, very stressful, obviously. It's a very rewarding job because you help people. But it's just trying to pray after like a dispensing shift is quite difficult, and I struggle with that myself, and I'm sure some healthcare professionals can relate with that as well. So لَقَالُوا إِنَّمَا سُكِّرَتْ أَبْصَارُنَا بَلْ نَحْنُ قَوْمٌ مَسْحُورُونَ. And it's saying that even if we opened up the sky and towards the heavens, the people would just ignorantly, naively respond with, our eyes have been dazzled, we've been bewitched. Essentially, this references another ayah in the Quran, which I can't remember which surah it was, but it references the fact that in Yawm al-Qiyamah, or Judgment Day, when everyone is brought to kind of be judged, people will be like, return, so they will tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, return us to the earth. We were only kind of bewildered, essentially. We were just confused, essentially is what they would say. So وَلَقَدْ جَعَلْنَا فِي السَّمَاءِ بُرُوجًا وَزَيَّنَّاهَا لِلنَّاظِرِينَ. This means, burujan essentially means stars. So the translation says, indeed we have placed constellations in the sky and adorned it for all to see. So it's, in a way, it's a response to, I guess you could say, people that don't believe in a designer or God, or even atheists in a way, that say that, oh, what's the evidence that there is one God? I mean, the evidence is there are, I guess the Quran here is saying there's constellations in the sky, so there's stars, and they all sort of are linked. And even this goes quite deep into maths. It's beyond my knowledge, but as far as I'm aware, there's a lot of sequences in mathematics that link to nature, like Fibonacci sequence. And if you look at a walnut, right, or if you look at a tomato, how is it possible that when you cut a tomato, it looks very similar to organs, or let's say maybe even a heart, you could argue, or forget a tomato, a walnut. A walnut has been shown through evidence that it's good for the brain, right? And even through kind of Islamic medicine per se, or homeopathic medication. Walnuts have a lot of chemicals inside that are very good for neurology and good for the mind. especially including almonds and other things like even cardamom, as far as I'm aware, and it's used a lot in, like, let's say karak chai. I'm not too sure if cardamom is good for the brain, but I know walnuts, almonds are good, and that's why it's usually encouraged during Ramadan to eat a odd number of dates with an odd number of walnuts. Generally, that combination is quite favored. So ayah 17 says, وَحَفَظْنَاهَا مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْطَانٍ رَجِيمٍ. So it's saying that we protected it from every accursed devil. That basically just means, I think it's referencing the constellations in the sky here. So it's saying that we protected the skies or the dunya from the shaitan regime, which is devil or Satan. إِلَّا مِنْ اسْتَرَكَ السَّمْعَ فَأَتْبَعَهُ شِهَابٌ مُبِينٌ. This one's a bit hard to translate, but they've translated it as except the one eavesdropping who is then pursued by a visible flame. I'm not too sure about this one, but yeah. Ayah 19 is وَالْأَرْضَ مَدَدْنَاهَا وَأَلْقَيْنَا فِيهَا رواسي وَأَنْبَتْنَا فِيهَا مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ مَوْزُونٍ. So it's referring to Jibal, which means mountains, and it's just saying that look at the mountains and how they're kind of placed, and that they're placed in an orderly fashion. And obviously, if you've ever seen a mountain, it looks beautiful, to be honest. So that's another kind of evidence of a smart creation, if you will. وَجَعَلْنَا لَكُمْ فِيهَا مَعَايِشَ وَمَنْ لَسْتُمْ لَهُ بِرَازِقِينَ. So this ayah 20 of Surah Al-Hajr is saying that we have created a means for you to get or gain sustenance, and this is referring to the fact that there's even work. So how is it? So where did the concept of work come from would be another question, but that's a discussion for another time. And we need to also discuss in another time where the concept of charity came from. So is charity, or the idea of charity, an Islamic concept? Is a very deep point to talk about, because people tend to believe that charity originated from European history, when it actually, I believe it didn't, but we'll go into that in another time, and it will go quite deep, and we might need 5 hours to just uncover the basics on that. But ayah 21 is وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا عِنْدِنَا خَزَائِنُهُ وَمَا نُنَزِّلُهُ إِلَّا بِقَدْرٍ مَعْلُومٍ. So basically it's saying that everything upon the earth, whether it's in the sky or on the earth, has a specific quantity, and we have bestowed it upon earth in a precise measure. So whatever it is, human beings, the amount of mothers in the world, the amount of children in the world, the amount of teachers there are, everything, food, it's been sent in a precise measure, which actually goes into the discussion of economics as well. So why is there scarcity? So the question is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this earth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of how many humans there will be. So why does poverty exist, is the question to ask. And why are food prices so high? But that goes into a deep one. We'll probably cover in another time if I have time. Ayah 22 is وَأَرْسَلْنَا الرِّيَاحَ لِوَاقِحَ فَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَأَسْقَيْنَاكُمُوهُ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ لَهُ بِخَازِنِينَ. So it's saying that we've sent rain from the sky. So clouds, when they have condensation, they lead to rain falling from the clouds. And basically what it's saying is human beings do not hold the reserves to water, even though unfortunately in some continents, some countries, water access is difficult. But that's another discussion to have. Ayah 23 is وَإِنَّا لَنَحْنُ نُحْيِي وَنُمِيتُ وَنَحْنُ الْوَارِثُونَ. So this is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or God, is the one that brings about life and death. And you could connect and link ayah 23 with one of the ayahs above, where we talked about the ayah which we mentioned that you cannot delay your death and you cannot delay the time. Essentially things are maktub, or things are destined, But this point here is quite deep, because a lot of times people discuss, is there free will? You know, so as a human being, do I have free will? So that's something that I think is tough to answer because it's something I ponder upon. Do I actually have free will? If I read the Quran, I think the answer would be yes, because it says La ikraha fid din. So that would essentially counter the question of, is there free will? There is no compulsion in religion. Thus, the fact that the phrase is there is no compulsion suggests that you have a choice. So if that ayah wasn't there, then maybe I'd think otherwise. But there is no compulsion, thus you have free will. And it also references Surah Al-Baqarah ayah 30, which says about the malaika, so the angels asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about why would you create a creature like humans? So why would you create humans when us angels are prostrating to you all the time, when humans will spread corruption and lead to bloodshed on the ground? And we don't want to go too deep into this one, but if you look globally, unfortunately, there's a lot of things happening. Okay, so back to, so this one is ayah 23. وَإِنَّا لَنَحْنُ نُحْيِي وَنُمِيتُ. Okay, I've done that one. Yep, ayah 24 now. وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْنَا الْمُسْتَقْدِمِينَ مِنْكُمْ وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْنَا الْمُسْتَأْخِرِينَ. So this one's saying that we know who has been before you and who will come after. So basically it's saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows all of the humans that will come after us and that have come before us. Ayah 25 is وَإِن رَبُّكَ هُوَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ إِنَّهُ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. And this is a very important point. So it basically says وَإِن رَبُّكَ, so your Lord, so is the entity that in Yawm al-Qiyamah will bring everyone and essentially judge them, is basically the point here. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ مِنْ حَمَإٍ مَسْنُونٍ. So this basically means indeed we created humans from a clay, and طين in Arabic generally means mud or clay, and salsalin means clay. Min hama'in masnoon, I think, is referring to, they translated it as black mud, but I don't really understand why they've translated it like that, but sure. Ayah 27 is وَالْجَانَ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ مِنْ نَارِ السَّمُومِ. Well-jan is referring to jinns. Now this is a important discussion because there's a lot of misconceptions about what even is a jinn, right? So a jinn is an entity, but as far as I'm aware, you cannot see a jinn because they do not operate in the visible frequency that humans can see, unless one condition is met. Unless the person themselves is involved in sihr. That's the only way that an individual can experience one. But if so as Muslims, we believe that the Quran protects us from everything. So you read the Quran, that's it, you're protected. You have belief in the Quran. It's as simple as that. Because a lot of times I have discussions with people, even on my TikTok live, they tell me, oh, they saw a jinn. It doesn't work like that. It's not like I'm sat in a room, a cat is going to pop out underneath a chair and it's going to be like, boo, like a ghost. It's not Casper the Ghost, the movie. So anyway, it's a very important point to discuss, and we will I'll try to go into why it doesn't, the evidence to what I'm saying. I'm not just making it up. Okay, so ayah 28 is وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشَرًا مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ مِنْ حَمَإٍ مَسْنُونٍ. So this one is saying that it's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the malaika, the angels, that he is going to create human beings from mud. And again, so Surah Al-Hijr is, the link here is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 30, sorry. So link this surah with ayah 30. And a very important point with the Quran is you need to, when you read it, try and not read it in a ritualistic way. What I mean by that is, of course, finishing a juz'ah is important, but what's more important is you need to understand what you're really reading in a way. So I think reading and contemplating, I would say, is more important than necessarily learning the lahan. Lahan is a rhythm. So learning how to of course, that's important too. So, when you see the amazing Quran reciters, I think in our generation, we need individuals that understand the Quran fully to be able to teach it, and especially to be able to teach Arabic as well. So, because understanding the Arabic, even me, my Arabic is not so good. Arabic is a very beautiful, in depth language, and I could spend 50 years learning it, and still I haven't done it justice because of how deep it is and how even a fatha above a letter, a diacritical mark, changes the meaning. Even in the Quran, sometimes you have Allahu, sometimes you have Allah here. So this kind of changes the meaning. If you have Allah here with a fatha or Allahu, that changes the meaning in a way. And there's a lot of grammatical rules that I need to go into in another time. فإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين. So this is referring to the time when essentially Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, and asked the shaitan, not asked, I think that would be wrong use of wording, but told the shaitan to prostrate. Obviously, there's a mention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, from mud, from clay, as we referenced earlier. Then the reference here is, it's worded as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blew into the ruh, but I don't think it actually meant a literal exhalation. That wouldn't make sense. I think it means more metaphorical. It wouldn't mean a literal gust of wind, but I think this is the closest word that we have in English. So it says nufakha, so it says وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ. Nafakhtu, when you translate to English, means blow, but it can mean breathed into him. But obviously, if you think about, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have lungs, obviously. So I'm not sure how you would translate that properly. Ayah 30 is فَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ أَجْمَعُونَ. So the angels prostrated altogether, apart from obviously the shaitan who disobeyed. And here in Surah Al-Hijr, the most important message, I believe, in the surah is the message of ego. So ego is found within all of us, that's 100%, but the levels of ego differ, and it differs based on different factors. And if you look on ayah 31, so إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى أَنْ يُكُونَ مَعَ السَّاجِدِينَ. So this one, so basically it says, Iblis or Shaitan regime is the only one that refused to prostrate with others, so with the other angels basically, and that's very, very important, and that goes into ego. So where did human ego originate from? Is a very important question to ask. Is the ego something within, as in the negative self, or are we kind of whispered from the shaitan to act in a certain way? And that's very important, قُلْ يَا إِبْلِيسُ مَا لَكَ إِلَّا تَكُونَ مَعَ السَّاجِدِينَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, which is very deep here. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked is quite deep, and that is showing the remorse. So it's showing the remorse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. And notice how it's saying قَالَ يَا إِبْلِيسُ. So Iblis, so shaitan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O Iblis, what is the matter with you that you did not join others in prostration?" So that's very important. And when people always argue and say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or God is not just or is not fair, so this is the dalil, this is the evidence. Dalil in Arabic means evidence. So ayah 32, it's translated as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, "O Iblis, what is the matter with you that you did not join others in prostration?" So why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Iblis? So why? He didn't need to. So this is a sign for us, a dhikra. Dhikra means a remembrance for us, that it's an evidence, it's a clear evidence, I think, 100% evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is remorseful and is forgiving. Contrary to how sometimes a lot of, let's say, family members act. I guess I'm referring to my family. Let's not get deep into this. A lot of the criticism we see in our own communities to our own people, unfortunately, it's quite harsh, So a very important point of Islam or Muslims is speak nicely. And that's why there's a reference in the Quran of أخفض جناحك للمؤمنين or للمسلمين. So that means kind of lower your wing for the believers, and this doesn't just span to this spans to everyone, to humans, you know. So as Muslims, we are always taught to speak gently, speak nicely to others, and don't wound someone verbally. And always, oh, okay, hello, hello, hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Is this the radio?
Yeah, it's the radio.
I just wanted to just show my love and support to the brother that's actually live streaming right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry, brother. Did you travel from London?
I did, yeah. Wait, sorry.
Do you know who it is?
Voice because yeah. Sorry. Yeah, say that
Do you
again.
know who it is?
Yeah, I know it's Farida. How are you? Assalamualaikum.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just saw your live stream and I just wanted to tell everybody, share the live and get you out there. But fantastic. I'm loving listening to you.
I appreciate it, Farida. Thank you so much. You're very kind.
Okay. Okay. Assalamu
Alaikum
alaikum.
assalam. Thank you.
Salam.
Yeah, sorry, do I continue? Yeah. So قل يا إبليس ما لك ألا تكون مع الساجدين. So essentially this question here was so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was asking Iblis, the shaitan, why did you not join others in prostration? And that's a very important point. قال لم أكن لأسجد لبشر خلقته من صلصال من حمإ مسنون. So this is referring to the response that the shaitan had, and Iblis said that why would I prostrate to a human that's made from clay? You know, it's very important. And so the question is, this I think actually references a lot of times when we live in, let's say, any country, or let's say the UK or any country, there's a lot of emphasis on the clothes you wear or your external characters, you know, but a lot of times on earth, the most important things of a human are not tangible. Not tangible meaning that you cannot quantify it, you know, you cannot put a value to it. And the best characteristics of a human you cannot buy and you cannot teach, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And this, you could even link it to marriage or couples or relationships, you know. A lot of times in relationships, people prioritize, let's say, tangible things, a house, or other things, or clothes. But a lot of times in a partner, things that should be prioritized are, you know, character traits. Is this individual hardworking? Are they willing to work hard? Are they willing to listen? Are they willing to communicate? Are they willing to learn? Are they willing to cooperate rather than solely, you know, material stuff? But it's always good to have material as well, you know. I like cars. I like driving. I have my own car. I drive, etc., etc. Anyway, ayah 34. قال فأخرجوا منها فإنك رجيم is ayah 34. Anyway, guys, I have half an hour left. I'm honored to be here, and just gonna be saying to my TikTok live, check out Iman 1, amazing radio show. And yeah, so just got like probably 10 seconds left, but I'm honored to be here. And shout out Farida, she kind of allowed